Welcome back, everybody, to the League of Inches podcast. Round 14, quick dumps. So we weren't able to hit you last week with the dumps. Origin, I think called State of Origin took over the page, basically, and everything rugby league related. So basically had a halt to do some Origin stuff. We had to get that live video out there, which was everyone loved. So glad we did that. But we're back this week after a round of football that had a lot of questions, a few answered, a few not answered, and we're here to answer every single question around about NRL football. We're going to do a bit differently tonight. So I've got Tyler, I've got Syd as well with me along for this ride. You all know it by now if you're new to it. It's basically we've got to answer each question within inside 1 minute. We got 1 minute to answer each question. So there's 5 dumps all up, and then there's a last kick option. It looks like we're going to do a Burton bomb for the last one tonight. It's a big one. I've sent it right up there, and Gutho's looking around. Unfortunately, has no idea what's happening with it. But here we go. So I'll read them all. We're going to go to Tyler to kick things off each question, then we'll just go around there. So dump number 1. The Dragons had a massive win over the Tigers. Were the Dragons that good? The Tigers that bad? Or a bit of both? Tyler, 1 minute, go.
I think the Dragons were just that good. I think they played awesome. I really enjoyed watching them play this week. It's not every week that I'd say that, but obviously the Tigers are in a bit of a low at the minute. But I think Dragons were that good, and it was awesome seeing Zach Lomax get over and break a record while at it.
Mate, you're a natural at this already. That was about 30 seconds. You're on fire. Syd, what's yours?
It's my team. I tried to be unbiased. I'd say 90% or 80% the Dragons were that good, and maybe 20% the Tigers. I don't think they have the cattle. They have the effort and the drive, and they've done it more than once this year. They pump early, and then they just run out of steam. I think too many young blokes just at the moment. They're really looking like a New South Wales Cup team, other than Appy and a couple of other guys. But yeah, so the Dragons were good. I must admit, it was a good thing. It was a good weekend. Family and friends going nuts. It was really good.
You seemed very shocked about that, but look, I don't want to say the Tigers were that bad and be disrespectful to the Dragons for my answer. I think the Dragons were very, very good. I want a special shout out to the 3 players that were coming back from Origin in Lomax, Hunt, and Sewer, who I thought all 3 were classes above in this game and really showed why they're on that biggest stage of our great game. So credit to them within 48 hours coming back as well. That's huge. Would not have blamed all 3 of them if they all decided to sit out and rest their body. The Tigers, they were clearly there for the first half, so I'm not going to say they were that bad, but that second half, they were in the shed still. That was embarrassing, and that's where I feel for Tigers fans. Like, they don't deserve that. That was a game where, not being disrespectful to the Dragons, but the Tigers probably look at that as a realistic one where they could win. If you looked at that at the start of the year, the fact that they were literally added to the world famous list now is nothing short of embarrassing. So I'm a bit of both there. Dump number 2. Super Saturday saw 3 Queensland teams lose at home rather comfortably as well, each scoring only 12 points, coincidentally. Please explain. Goodness me. And by the way, guys, Syd comes up with these. So when I read these, this is almost, I do scan through them first, but it's like the first time I'm actually proper looking at it because I want to do things off the cuff. But yeah, good luck, Tyler. You're first up. Good luck.
Look, I think 2 of the 3 teams are out of form at the moment. Obviously, Titans, very, very out of form, sitting just above the Tigers in 16th. And Cowboys are just very out of sorts at the moment as well, obviously not playing at their best. Rabbitohs were just that good. I would say that that's probably one of the better games they've played this year. Warriors are finally looking back to their 2023 their 2023 form, and that's awesome to see because when the Warriors are on, they're on, and it is great as a more neutral fan watching Cowboys versus Warriors. And Broncos Sharks was a great game also, but both of the all of the games being 12 points. So that's just a weird coincidence for me.
Sid, what do you got for us? Please explain.
I'm going to pick something out of left field here. I think the 3-day turnaround is harder than the 2-day turnaround, and I've got heard evidence of that years ago. I don't know if you guys are old enough to know Luke Bailey used to play for St George. He's a front rower, and we had
Don't
Riles,
insult me like that.
Bull Bailey. What are you,
Bull.
25? Bull Bailey, yeah, and he, I remember
33.
he got interviewed. Yeah, he got interviewed, and he played 80 minutes after packing up Orange, and he said that it's easier 2 days after than 3 days after, because 3 days after, apparently all those sore muscles and all that start to set in. Strangely, I'm not sure how much merit that is, but it certainly looked like it um, on the weekend. Plus, what Tyler said about the varying things like Cowboys. For me, we already called them pretenders a couple of episodes back. I think Top Tater's a pretender personally. And Broncos, they just were off the pace. And Titans very disappointing. Usually when they lose, they still score 20 plus, but they just weren't there. Aside from David Fafita when he got angry, he copped a banter and he got angry. Other than that, there was no fire, really. Not much. Barely a whimper.
Yeah. I'll start mine off by just saying Queensland simply don't get rugby league. That's my answer to this. They don't get it. Don't come up with the Origin crap either. Like you played with a 1-man advantage, so I don't care. In the women's one, we just want a decider, so you just don't get it. No, it's on a serious level. I'll say this: I feel like the Saturday games, the teams that won it, looked to me to be a lot more hungrier than the teams that they beat, and that's not something you generally say about these Queensland teams. But I think you maybe it is to do with the Origin hangover. I know the Titans only had one player was Mo Fotuaika, so may not be heaps, but the Rabbitohs looked so hungry to get that win. They looked on. The Warriors the same. They looked on. And then the Sharks, I'll give a lot of credit to the Sharks. The Broncos started very well. The Sharks came out in that second half and just killed it. And they looked like a team that wanted to make a statement to say, look, we are in this competition. Don't worry about what happened the last 2 weeks. We are a contender. And we'll show you this second half that we do mean business. So credit to all three of those teams. I just think they showed a lot more hunger than the Queensland sides. Dump number 3. With Origin in mind, should we consider introducing something between a sin bin and a send-off? So a send bin. Tyler, do we want a send bin?
Absolutely not. That's just one of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard in my life. I wasn't on the Origin after show or the pre-show. Just I was ill, unfortunately. But in my personal opinion, it was a send-off every day. We've got to protect the players. We've got to protect their heads. I don't want to bang on it about too much because I know it is a very controversial topic, and I do want people to keep on liking me. I do read the comments and get very big-headed, so please keep them coming in. I'll keep jumping on more shows. But no, there needs to be a clear line between what's right and what's wrong. And I think the two are just are perfect. We don't need a send bin, as Joel said.
Sid, Tyler's gone off on you for this question. He obviously doesn't like it at all. What's your response to the send bin?
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you came up with the name because I had an idea, but I didn't know. Like, I couldn't think of a name to come up. So we're going to call it Sendbin. So just disclaimer first. What Swally did, it annoyed me, pissed me off like no tomorrow. I said on the group chat, that's ridiculous. Once you go airborne, you lose control of yourself. Anything can happen. You're responsible. Same way you have a car accident, you didn't do it on purpose, but if you're at fault, you're at fault. I knew they were going to send him off because it's one of the biggest games of the year, the biggest viewership, and it's all about the parents wanting their kids to play footy, right? And secondly, to be honest, I was looking forward to seeing Walsh play, even though he plays for Queensland. He's a major draw card, that guy, and he took him out. So those are the reasons. But it is Origin, and it did ruin the game. So my send bin is he gets his 10 in the bin, right? Then when the 10 minutes is over, they can replace him, and he can't play just the same way Walsh couldn't play. Send bin. Up to you, Joel.
Bam. I'm, you know, ever since this happened last week, it's actually starting to do my head in how much people are looking into this. I just think it's simple. It's a sin bin or it's a send off. He got a send off. It was a horrible tackle. That's it for mine. Like, I think there's a clear difference between the both. And we're seeing this year more than ever that the sin bins teams know how to defend with it still. It's not actually that much of a advantage. If anything, it might get to a stage where it needs to be increased or something, because I don't think teams are getting advantages from it. We've seen a classic case of that today with the Bulldogs versus Para game, where Para just suck against 12 men. They just panic every time they've had it this year, but that's another story. But yeah, I'm just sick of just stop overcomplicating, guys. It's a send off, it's a sin bin. Suoli's was horrible. It was a send off every day of the week for mine. That's that. Let's just wipe our hands with it. Thank you. Dump number 4. Sid's favourite player. I'll give everyone a little bit of a heads up for this one, so I can't wait for his answer. But Tyler, how did you actually? No, you know what? Well, I'm changing up. Sid, you are going to go first this time because I know you love this bloke. How did you feel about Jake Trbojevich's selection and captaincy before and after game 1? I'm watching the timer for this.
Okay, Joel, this was actually for you because you love JT and your running Origin side every week included him. The guy, I'm going to say it on air on this show, he's no talent. Don't tell me he working hard is a talent. It's just working hard. He could pass sort of okay. I mean, if you do it full time, you could pass. He's fit. If someone offered you 10 grand a week to get fit, we all get fit. I don't see any talent. And above all, what annoys me most is they've shot themselves a foot by putting him captain. The guy has no fire. You need a warrior. You need a killing machine. You need 17 special players. They put a captain who, when he talks, when he's on his interviews, yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a sweetheart. The guy's like a deer in the headlights. You can see the fear in his eyes. He is not a leader. He's not the one you want in the front line in battle. I know it's not a war, but in battle, in Origin, right? The guy is a cat, right? And he's no better a selection than Ben Cray was after Bennett left when they put him captain. The guy's not a leader. He's a cat. Meow.
I'll let you go 10 seconds over then, just because I just wanted to see the hole, how far you could dig this hole of yours. But anyway, Tyler, back that up.
I don't really know how to back that up, to be quite honest, Joel. I did say it on the pre-show actually that I didn't agree with Trbojevic the captain, and I got absolutely flogged for it. But I'm backing Sid here. He's too much of a nice guy. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go as far as Sid has gone, but he's too much of a nice guy. You know, you need someone like a Paul Gallen who's ready to take someone's head off.
Oh, come on, Gal. Come back.
Maybe not in taking his head off as Suoli'i did, but you know, in the figurative sense. But I don't think he's a captain. But also in saying that, I wouldn't put Teddy back as captain. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think JKT's the answer.
I'm going to answer this a little bit differently. Now, Jake Trbojevic for mine is a stopgap solution because if we all being dead set about this, Nathan Cleary is the next captain in New South Wales and he's the wanted captain for this state for the next 10 years. He's unfortunately injured at the moment, not playing. So they're looking for someone who's there. Isaiah was named on the bench. He probably would have been the next option, but you don't want your captain starting off the bench. Jake Trbojevic is an Origin player. That just, I think the fact that it went to 12 players absolutely destroyed the kind of player Jake Trbojevic is because we literally didn't need that sort of player. He became a waste. If I'm being honest, he became a waste on Wednesday night. But that's because who in their right mind, we all spoke about Origin, we all did previews and stuff. No one once said we would lose a player for 73 minutes. Not once was it mentioned in any show anywhere. So it was that once in a blue moon. It wasn't funny. I feel for Jakey. He looks shattered, but I also feel like with his words and how nervous that he was, you need to be better on that sort of stage with your words and stuff when you're being held at that higher caliber. It's not, I'm not going to say it's like the Australian cricket captain, but for us rugby league fans, it's probably the biggest accolade you can get. And we want to see words, actions together. I think you need to bring that. And for mine, Jakey let himself down, unfortunately, in that area. Dump number 5, Tyler. We're back to you at the start. It's all safe now. We can move on. Back to the Chur bros. Thank Christ Goose is not here tonight because he probably would have cracked a few stiffies by now. Another contender or pretenders? Warriors currently 10th. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I genuinely think they are contenders. I said this last week. If the Warriors can start on a run like they have, they will genuinely be top 8, and I see them going far in the finals. Don't know whether they're a contender for the major premiership or even the minor at this point. But if they can keep on building on what they're doing, and especially with their main player out being Sean Johnson, it's seriously impressive what they've done. Especially Mitch Barnett and Tamari Martin as well stepping up. Tamari Martin has definitely stepped up in the absence of Sean Johnson, and it's been awesome to watch because there's been a player in there, and I've seen a lot of people giving Martin stick, but I think he's a talent, and I'm keen to see where the Warriors go from here.
Syd, contenders or pretenders for the Wars?
I'm gonna say yes. After that shellacking at the Dragons and Wollongong, which most
Yes.
teams
Hang on. Yeah.
cop,
Yes.
right?
Yes. What?
Right?
Are they
What?
contenders or pretenders?
The contenders. Right? I'll tell you what. They just have so much talent. They have so much talent. It was just a matter of getting the combinations and adjusting, as Tyler said, to Sean Johnson not being there. They've managed to do that. You know, they've got monster forward after monster forward. It's literally an assembly line. Next man up, as they keep saying. It's such a cliche line these days. And I just think their reserves are always ready for first grade physically. Because of the Pacific Islanders, the Maoris, they're just built for rugby league. And they throw a ball around, fearless. They're everyone's second favourite team. I'll say contenders.
Yep. We're going a 3-way here. I've got them as contenders as well off the back of. I'm really impressed with the fact that they've hit some form with their less experienced players. A lot of them stepping up, which to me, if there is injuries in the back half of this season when they're better, when like the two of us, checks, the Sean Johnsons and the like, do return, I feel like they're covered a lot better now. They got a bit more experience, these inexperienced players, and that sets the Warriors up nicely for a run. I really liked them at the start of the year, and I feel like they're starting to now find their form and find their identity again, and what was good for them last year, and they've brought that now into this year and not overthinking things. I think they were a victim of overthinking at the start of this year. Now they're just playing to their strength. They're doing those backline spreads that work so well, and they're just doing them, running straight, drawing pass, and away they go. The last tackle, the Burton bomb, we promised it was going to be a massive, ugly one that just sits up in the galaxy for about 3 hours and then finally comes down with some icicles on it. Massive rumors of the Bears coming back or the South Island, New Zealand franchise coming in. Give us your preference and thoughts / why, I think is there. Give us your preference and why. Tyler, Bears or South Island, New Zealand?
I would love to see the Bears back, but in my opinion, they need to be a Sydney team. They can't be the Perth Bears. That just sounds so stupid. I've never heard a more stupid thing in my life, apart from the send bin.
Oh, hang on. Hang on a second. I'll break the rules here and we'll have a conversation in a minute.
Just not that name, man. Just anything but that name.
Do you honestly think, though, we've got enough room for another Sydney team? Like for mine, if we're to put the Bears in Sydney, they're going to be extinct because it's never going to happen. We can't have another Sydney team. So if there's a way to have the Bears back, it needs to be somewhere else.
And that was leading me on to my point. I think bringing in a New Zealand team or a Papua New Guinea team is a great addition into the NRL. It gives more Islanders chances to get into the NRL. But for me, the Bears just need to come if they were to come back, I think a lot of people are going to be upset if they weren't a Sydney team. I'm too young to have that much of an opinion on it. But from what I've spoken to in the people who actually did support the Bears, every single one of them have gone, Perth is just absolutely ridiculous. I'd love to see a Perth team. It just does not need to be associated with the previous Sydney Bears. If they're going to do it, pick another animal. I don't know, pick a galah or an ibis or something. Anything but a bear.
And everyone, I want to welcome the 18th team, the Perth Ibises. Yeah, woo! Syd, old man, let us know your thoughts. You obviously remember the Bears. You're on the hill watching Jason Taylor run
Yep.
amok.
Yep. I also remember 1996. I was 16. You guys were about -12 at the time. We played North Sydney
Nah,
Bears at North Sydney Oval in the
6.
semi-final. yeah. Yeah. I remember being there. It's North Sydney is a little bit too close. I would go with come down. I would go with Central Coast Bears and look at another franchise for either Perth. PNG would be like a festival every home game. It'd be ridiculous, right? And the New Zealand, I'm not so keen on, to be honest. So in that order.
That was nice and quick from you. I was lost for words. I wasn't ready for that.
I was throwing dummies. Put it down, untouched.
You know what? I'm going to be different. I actually don't mind the Perth Bears. There's something about the Perth Bears that I don't mind. I just feel like they can't be Central Coast either. I think that's too close to the Sydney market, and in between that, Newcastle. I don't like it. I feel like the Perth Bears are coming. I actually think that there'll be another New Zealand team as well. Then there'll be probably PNG as well. So that's my thing. That's it. That's Quick Dumps done. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. That was over and done with. We will see you again next week.
See you, boys.
See ya.